It's time for another episode of The Oil Stream with Dustin Nielsen and Tom Gazzola, presented by Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's The Oil Stream here on Edmonton Sports Talk. Tom Gazzola with you. There he is, Matthew Iwanyk. He's got one wing. The other one is in repair. But he's
I
still
am
hustling.
here.
Look at you. You're doing just fine. You're hustling.
You and I are getting this done.
We're getting it done. We thank you, as always, for tuning in to any one of our programs here on EST. As what did Gager called this week? The bye week, coming back to work. It's a bye week because it's a short week. Slowly, people are coming back. The malaise of the holidays. But you and I and Trev are plowing through alongside our great guests on the Hangout, as well as Joaquin Gage, who's been filling in admirably on every show, essentially.
Yes, and then Jay Milne's taking over the next couple days.
Gage was
on
like,
the morning show.
I'm like, are you in tomorrow? He's like, I don't know.
He's in for the Hangout.
Yeah, he is.
Yes.
And then two guys and a goalie.
And two guys, which is only going to be actually
Literally
two
guys, him and I.
Because what is going on with Cass? Like,
he's sick.
He's really bad.
It is bad. And he fought through it on pre and post right before Christmas break. He was sick. He mentioned it.
On the Rangers game?
Yeah.
Because on the Devils game,
he was out of commission.
Really? Because we had him on two guys that day. We called it two Mats and a goalie.
Which it was.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he seemed good that day.
Or maybe
But I think Gager did that game.
Yeah.
But I don't think that was the plan at the time.
No. And Belzy filled in over the weekend because Cass was under the weather. Then I talked to Cass yesterday, and he had to go to the hospital to figure out what the heck was going on. No pneumonia, which is great. But he's a big man. He's a tough guy. And he takes care of his little ladies at home as well as his lovely wife, Mandy. But they sent him home after a few hours. But, he's not feeling great. So, Cass, I hope you're feeling better.
2 days ago, I mentioned this on Two Guys yesterday with Gager. He sent me and Gager notes. I'm like, I don't think I'll be good for tomorrow and stuff. And then he sent a video of him trying to talk. And then he just heard his wife in the background just be like, why are you talking right now?
She would say that.
And
She's looking out for him.
Well, and I was like, why are you talking right now? You didn't have to prove it to us that you're sick. You don't have to be like, no, I'm down. Here's my proof of it. And I just really love that and then he just kind of just looked at her and then it just stopped. But yeah, I just hear this, why are you talking?
Yeah. Mandy's right. Like, just rest, get well soon. We want you to get well. Same with Lieutenant Eric. You've talked to Eric, right?
I've only exchanged some texts with him.
And he's not one to take days off for the sake of days.
He's been down, and Gager was down before. And
Belzy was in rough shape for a bit.
Was he?
Yeah. Happy belated birthday to Belzy, by the way.
I thought it's his birthday today.
They had a party for him yesterday.
Yes, but when's his actual birthday? I thought I looked yesterday and it was the 3rd. And today's the 3rd.
All right, well, I wished him a happy birthday last night, and I wished him happy birthday today.
Jan 3rd.
Yes. Happy birthday, Belzy.
Happy birthday, Sean Bell, who turns 39 today.
Happy birthday,
next year,
big
the
boy.
big 4-0.
Yeah. We don't talk about that, Matthew.
I'm 33. Oh, next year. Well, next year.
Yeah, there you go.
So, you guys same birth year?
Yeah.
Oh, see, so you got another year.
Yeah, he's like 9 months older than me. 9.5 months older than me.
You've got like almost, it's basically like 20 months, Tom. A lot of time.
Thank you.
A lot of time.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no, it's I haven't heard from him since his Dolphins lost to my Ravens.
Well, you guys are not on speaking terms then.
I'm just going to say that right now. Just for a few months prior,
all
I heard was fins up, fins up, fins up, and didn't happen to hear anything at all.
Yeah.
So
that's a tough go for Belzy.
This is the Oil Stream live from the Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen studio. Which I don't know. I'm not a West Ender, so I don't know if the new one's opened up.
It's getting close.
It is.
It's right down the street.
I know, but I don't drive by there. Do you?
Not often.
Yeah, so I don't know if over the last 2 weeks anything has changed. But when that opens, it's going to be great.
Yeah. It will be very convenient. That'll be our go-to for the EST. Although all of us are in different parts of the city, and
not really.
Well,
you and I are in the exact same building.
Literally the same building.
Dusty and Eric are West Enders. They're not
Dusty's Southwest. Eric is straight up West Side.
Yeah.
And then I think Trev is
he's by St. Joe's, not too far from us.
Central.
Central, which is what we are.
Yeah. There's Popeyes locations in all of those fantastic corners of the city. Get yours today.
109th Street for us downtown. It's right there.
That's the one I go to.
Save on.
Get the macaroni and cheese side. Blackened chicken.
At Commonwealth Stadium.
Yes. If you're not seeing Gager at Commonwealth.
Except I think he was in near the Popeyes one.
There's one on each side.
Yeah, it's great. Popeyes is great.
Hey,
it's a way to start the year.
Really quickly, I know you guys talked about Elks a lot on the Hangout. You, Kev, and
Praise.
Will. How are we getting a sense of a potential ownership? I know it's still early days, but
well, what Kev was saying was he was talking to some people and from various groups. It sounds like it's almost a little rushed where. Groups have until the end of this month to submit their interest. And then there's the vetting process and that. And they want to have something done by training camp.
I feel like these groups might want to vet the Elks with how things have gone.
I feel like I'm with Kev where I feel like don't rush this process. Don't
do it right.
Just quickly go just to get someone as opposed to trying to find the right one. But then did you hear Fraze's big plan? We figured this all out.
Of course Fraze did.
Well, so who's the famous actor from Edmonton?
Nathan Fillion. Michael J. Fox.
No, well,
Katie Lang?
Nathan Fillion.
Yeah.
Do you know who his good friend of his is?
I can only imagine.
Ryan Reynolds.
Really?
So you convince Nathan Fillion. We need to get on a bandwagon, like a big push right now.
Yeah.
Nathan Fillion, save our Elks. Come by our Edmonton Elks.
Yeah.
And then maybe he looks around and goes, hey, do I know any buddies? Do I have any buddies who are sports owners? And then Ryan Reynolds from Wrexham wanted the Ottawa Senators. Boom. Also, Nathan Fillion and Ryan Reynolds, owner of the Edmonton Elks.
We Are Elks, Netflix hit series.
Who says no?
Good point. Actually, put it on FX instead of Netflix.
That's where Welcome to Wrexham is. But well, if we want to keep it, put it on Crave.
I guess so.
Netflix.
Good point.
It doesn't have to. It doesn't have to be just FX. Maybe Rob McElhaney. Maybe it is FX though. And Rob McElhaney joins too because he loves the football team.
Yeah.
He loves the Eagles. He's gonna be like, I want to own a football team, and I'm not gonna own the Eagles because Jeff Lurie, whatever his name is, owns that one. So I'm gonna go own this team.
A storied CFL franchise with 15 Coupe Gris and looking
14.
to. Is that? Oh, it's 14.
Isn't it 14?
That was 15.
I think it's only 14.
Maybe I'm getting ahead of myself.
I'm looking it up with my one-hand typing.
Yeah. How's that?
I've learned it's very hard to type just one-handed.
So frustrating.
I don't like it. Also, if you have to write something, I have bad writing already. Very childish looking writing with just my left hand. 14 Grey Cups. 14 Coupe
Okay,
Gris.
so
but there's just similarities between the Elks and Wrexham. Long franchise, long storied franchise.
Yes.
Community that loves it.
Yes.
It's not that crazy.
No, it's not. I mean, we're not Wales, and I think Edmonton's bigger than Wrexham.
Oh, it have to be.
Has to be. A couple of nasty chatters saying Leslie Nielsen and Peter Pocklington. Zedmo and Calvin. Well said.
Well, Leslie Nielsen's passed.
He has,
R.I.P.
unfortunately.
So
yes.
we unfortunately he can't buy the franchise. Wrexham's population is 44,785.
So it's really it's like the size of what Fort Sask I think is getting close to. I don't know. Fort Sask is getting bigger and bigger. So is Beaumont.
That'll just be a day where it's all Edmonton.
Yeah, that's true.
As much as they don't want it.
Let them be individuals among the main. It's like Toronto. Toronto proper is relatively big, but GTA is monstrous.
We really kind of do have a GEA. They're all part of Edmonton. You know, like
Edmonton.
as much as they don't want it. Yeah, the Metro Edmonton area.
It's oil country, baby.
Goes as far as Wetaskiwin. The Edmonton Oilers defeating the Philadelphia Flyers yesterday 5-2. They're just absolutely rolling this team.
Great game. Good battle.
I haven't talked to you about the Oilers at all in a while.
Let's talk about
how are you feeling with the Edmonton Oilers?
Way different than I did on, what was it, November 9th?
Something like that. Let's go with that one.
I think that was the San Jose game. I gave up on them. I said to Dusty on the Oil Stream, I'm going to give up on this team if they lose to Nashville. They go and they lose to Nashville. They get their coach fired. They embarrass themselves in San Jose. They go 2-9-1, and then they slowly start to build it back up. They left themselves with some runway. Do I believe in this group? Do I think they're back to what they're supposed to be? Yeah. Because now I think it's 17 wins in the last 23 games. A far cry from them stooping to the lows of the San Jose Sharks, especially at that point in the season, because that was beyond pathetic. And I think I wrapped it up in a neat little package with a bow on top, that post game.
Yeah, an 8-minute little cold open.
Yeah. And I felt how I thought I needed. I expressed what I thought I needed to express with how I felt about how the team was performing, what it was doing to the fan base. And then, you know what, I think in the room they understood and they got their act together, and the coaching change certainly. There are some subtle differences to the way Chris Knobloch is rolling out his lines, how he's handling some things. This Ryan McLeod thing on the left side is working out brilliantly. But a lot of it, too, is these guys getting their act together, shaking their heads, and saying, how embarrassing was this? And then literally getting to work, getting the job done. And I appreciate the fact that they are salvaging the season. But, Matty, it should never have gotten to that point.
No, it shouldn't have. I'm the one that started this season saying I don't care about the regular season. Get me to the playoffs. Let's see what this team can do in the playoffs. It was never supposed to come down to the fact that there was serious questions of whether this team was going to make the playoffs or not. Like there was that was there, and those were all legit. That wasn't a panic move. I think most people even went a little longer before they finally no, this team might actually not make the playoffs this year.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes there's those panics when you lose like 4 games. No, this team's not going to do it. This year, like there was an actual mark where I think everyone kind of just like, if they can't turn this around, this team will absolutely miss the playoffs. And one saving grace they did have was the West seems very weak this year outside of the top teams. The wild card hunt, if you project to where what the playoff spot would be right now over 82 games where everyone is, it's lower than it historically would be.
Isn't it like 91 points?
Is it up there? I know when I was filling in for you once on the pre-post, it was like worked out to be like 88 points or something.
Yeah.
Like it was lower. So it's easier for them to make ground. But now this team, the way they're playing, they look like one of those teams that is absolutely right at the top of the West. The question, I guess, now becomes, is this team capable of catching a Vancouver, a Vegas, or a Kings for Pacific Division? Does that even matter of trying to get into the Pacific Division?
Does it matter? I'll start with that one. Actually, I should track back further. Can they catch Vancouver and Vegas?
Like this month, I think will be the telling month for that because of how easy this schedule is. And before you answer, I'll just go through the numbers here quickly. Yeah. Canucks, 37 game played. They have 51 points. Golden Knights have 49 points through 38 games. The Kings have 45 points of 34 games played. So they have some games in hand to be closer to the Canucks and the Golden Knights. The Oilers also have some games in hand on the Canucks and the Golden Knights. They've played 35 games, but they're at 39 points. So they sit 10 points behind the Golden Knights, and that would mean 11 points behind the Canucks. They do have a couple of games in hand to try to make up a little bit of that ground. But that's a lot of ground to make up. To make up that ground, not only do you have to win, they have to lose. Do you think that they could catch up with those Kings, the Golden Knights, or the Canucks?
The Kings, yes. Okay. That's one I think that they can. Now, LA has played one less game, but I do think that with the Kings only being 6 points up right now, I'm not saying they're faltering, but 4-5-1 in their last 10. They're not on the torrid pace that they were before. They're unreal on the road at 13-2-1. Home ice, not as good. I think LA is a team that you can start looking at and being like, you know what, you might be able to get the sights set on them. Right now, Vegas and Vancouver, I would probably hold off. Vancouver, because they've lost 3 games to them already, I'm going to say no. Vegas and LA, they've beaten, and they still have games against those two. I'm like, okay, you might be able to reel them in. More so LA. Vegas might be a bit of a stretch, although Vegas didn't look great in that Winter Classic, and they've only won 4 of their last 10 as well. Maybe they're hitting the skids a little bit. I know they've had some issues with injuries in net. Aiden Hill's been out. Logan Thompson's been all right. They had to call up Yuri Patera. LA, yes. Vegas, Vancouver, I don't think so. And good on the Canucks because they're just cruising, man. But I think it's possible. Now, does it matter?
Would you rather go and potentially go see the Avs, the Jets, the Stars, and
all of these
or
are good
would
teams.
it be Canucks, Golden Knights, Kings?
I think in a perfect world, you're trying to get first in the Pacific, but it might be out of reach because you're either looking at, like, look at that right now. It's Nashville and Arizona. Now, if you force your way into the top spot, then you're squeezing LA or someone into a wild card spot. It's a tough road through the West regardless, I think. I do like the matchups against the Central Division teams, though. If the Oilers played Dallas, I like their chances. If the Oilers played Winnipeg, I like their chances, even though Winnipeg beat them a couple years ago in 4 straight, and even though the Avalanche beat them a couple years ago in 4 straight. It doesn't seem like the Avs are the same team that went to the Stanley Cup final and won. They lost to Seattle last year. I think that woke up or opened up a lot of eyes. And then the Jets, for whatever reason, in the postseason, outside of that year they swept the Oilers in the shortened year of the North, I think the route through the Central might be the easiest, but I don't think that's the best way to look at it if you're a member of the Edmonton Oilers. Like, if you're on the team, coaching staff, whatever, you're going, I'd rather end up in this wild card spot, go through the Central Division, because I think it's an easier route to the Stanley Cup final. Even though that might be true, I don't like that mentality.
No.
They
would. You also, any team at this point, if you're the Edmonton Oilers, if you're in that room, maybe not necessarily first in the Pacific, but you would like home playoff. You would like home series, right?
Yeah.
Like, you'd want to get 1 or 2 in the Pacific, just because that means that's 4 games at home in a best of 7 as opposed to 3.
Yeah.
And you start at home. Like, I think that's the goal here is, if you're in that room, if you're Chris Knobloch, you're Paul Coffey, you're going to the group, if you're the leadership team, you're saying, our goal right now is to try to hunt down number 2.
Yeah.
And then if you get into number 2 and you're holding that spot, whatever's left of the season, then you can be like, can we hunt down number 1? But I think that's what you're looking at. You're not. Yeah. No team would ever sit there and be like, yeah, let's sit in a wild card spot. We're in a good spot right now. I think we need to drop a couple here just to stay in this spot, and then we're good. Like that. No chance. Fans do that. Media does that. It makes sense.
Yeah.
But I will say this. If I'm any team in the West, I'm not that scared necessarily to take on the Canucks in the playoffs because they haven't been to the playoffs. If there's a chance to maybe knock them off, it would be this year because they don't have that experience fully as this full group with Rick talking. Now, Demko had the bubble year where he was unbelievable.
Bubble Demko was a story.
It's when we knew that they're going to move on from Markstrom to go to Demko, and it was going to be his net moving forward. But beyond that, like that to me, I think is a team that I'm not going to sit here and say they're going to falter in the regular season. There's going to be a point now where I think they're just a good hockey team.
Yeah,
this is who they are. Will they go through a stretch of maybe like the Golden Knights of a 4-6 or something? Yeah, maybe. It's 82 games is a long season, but I don't think they're falling out of the Pacific now. I think they're just that good of a hockey team. But when you get to the playoffs, it's different. And we saw it took the Oilers a couple years to figure out how to win in the playoffs. That's where, like, if you're any of the wildcard teams and you have the Canucks, I'd actually rather see the Canucks than the Colorado Avalanche. Just because Avs know how to win.
Yeah, I understand. I get that rationale. I'm thinking
this year specifically. Next year, if this is the same thing and the Canucks have already been in the playoffs, I'm going to have a different story because the Canucks will have been there. But this year, just because they haven't gotten there, I'm forecasting far ahead, of course.
Yeah. Well, the regular season doesn't matter, as one said earlier this year.
Yeah. Well, look, the Oilers are proving me right once again. They're back in the playoff mix. If you go by points percentage, they're actually sitting in a wild card spot right now.
Oh boy. Okay, who did the Canucks have from that 2020 bubble, which was an anomaly? Besser, yes. They had
Elias Pettersson would be there.
JT Miller, Elias Pettersson. That's it up front. On defense from that season, was Quinn Hughes there? I think Hughes was. Tyler Myers was in Winnipeg. Tucker Pullman also in Winnipeg. Carson Soucy, Minnesota at that time. Zadorov, Colorado, I believe. Or
Yeah, he was in those playoffs, Quinn Hughes.
Quinn Hughes was. Okay, so they have
16
just a
points in 17
handful
games
of guys along with Thatcher Demko. So how much of that carries over? I don't know. Not much.
Well,
probably,
look, the Oilers 16-17 were in the playoffs. They won a playoff series, missed the playoffs for a few years, got back, and they had to relearn how to win in the playoffs.
Did they ever? I mean, they pissed it away against the Hawks.
Against the Jets.
The Jets. That was a good series, though. Every game
It was
a
the
one-goal
closest sweep you'll ever see.
game. Yeah. That was tight. Tight.
Every game, one goal.
Yeah.
Like the first game, I think there was an empty netter.
Yeah.
I think that was, but outside, it was a one-goal game. There's overtime. Really, you will not see a closer sweep, I think, in terms of a series than that one.
Yeah. That was a tough one.
But the Oilers had to learn how to win again, and that's where I think the Canucks, the one advantage they would have over those Oilers teams is they have Thatcher Demko. And if he produces, we know what a goalie can do come playoff time, what he could do to your team and winning. But that's where I look. If you're a West team and if the Kings drop out, I'm not going to talk about the Preds or the Coyotes in this. I'll talk if the Stars fall into a wild card spot and you have to play the Canucks. Yeah, I'd rather them than the Colorado Avalanche. So I'd want to stay in the Pacific almost a little bit if I was the Edmonton Oilers.
The Oilers have the Kings number 2.
Yeah.
They've got them. They're in their heads. I think, and we saw it the other night. There was a perfect first period for LA. I'm sitting there with Belzy, and we're watching, and we're going, uh-oh, that's not good. And then in the second period, Edmonton just a little tweak, quick ups, less dump and chase, a little more speed, and they break through. And then I thought Edmonton controlled the rest of that game. And as soon as Edmonton understood or kind of figured out the Kings and getting through Todd McClellan's 1-3-1 or whatever iteration he has of it this year, it was game over. Now, it was close, took a shootout, but I thought the Oilers were the better team in the second and third.
I always look at the Kings and go, if you could get 2 goals, you're probably going to win. I don't believe in the Kings scoring just if you go in a series I don't believe them to be a team that's always going to score a lot. So if you could just play decent hockey and score a few goals, you're going to have their number. And that's what the Oilers can score. That's the one thing we know that they can do. And that's one of the reasons I think they'll always have the Kings number.
LA's got more offensive pop for sure this year. They definitely do. Dubois is supposed to provide. I think he only had 14 points when the Oilers faced him. He had 7 and 7 playing on the third line. They're missing Arvidsson. Byfield has had a strong year. Trevor Moore is picking it up offensively. Kopitar is having a solid year. I think this Kings team can score and can smack you back with some offense. But it is that system that they are very staunch at playing. But I think the Oilers are in their heads. And when Edmonton tied it up, I think that, quote-unquote, for a term, lack of a better term that we tend to use, broke them in that game. Now, we'll see how the Kings come back next time they face each other, but
sure, but you look at last night's game, the Oilers had the lead. Flyers come back, tie it. Oilers at the beginning of the season, that would have broke them.
Right.
But instead, Nugent-Hopkins scores right away, and the Oilers just roll the rest of that game.
Yeah.
And that's where the Oilers are at right now. They've become the team that we've expected the Edmonton Oilers to be this year. And the fact that, Jack Michaels posted the stats of the records of the last 3 seasons after New Year's, after 34 games or whatever it was. And the Oilers were half game behind the last 2 seasons. They've completely clawed their way outside the mess that they created at the start of the year. What they did was they took the December-January slump that they always have, and just did it at the very start of the season.
How courteous of them.
And now they're going to just keep playing. And really, the only big question I would have now for this team to prove to me is, can they lose a game and not have it turn into a streak? Can they lose one and go win 2 after that? When they lose in bunches right now.
Oh, yes.
The last 2 losing streaks they had were 3 games. There's no lose, even 2 and then go win 5 and then lose 1 and win 3 or something. It's lose 3. How did October end? Lose 4, lose 2. So the only time that they did it was they had an OT loss in there, but they lost 4 straight. So it was lose 2, win 1, lose 4, win 1, lose 4, win 3, lose 3, massive winning streak, lose 3, winning streak right now. Yeah. Can they take a losing not have a losing streak anymore? That would be the question I have about this team.
I will give them the benefit of the doubt and say yes with how they're playing, although they just came out of a 3-game slide.
Mm-hmm.
Like that game that they played on the island wasn't particularly great. The loss to Florida was bad, their last home game before yesterday. The game against Tampa probably deserved better, but that's the one where Skinner had a collapse in the third period. They stunk out the joint against the Panthers. They didn't really bounce back strong to kick off that 6-game road trip, but then they went just balls to the wall against the Devils. Great come-from-behind win there. Excellent sticking with it the next night at MSG, getting the 4-3 win. It should have been 4-2. That late goal with 0.1 second left was it made the score more flattering for the Rangers. Took care of business against the Sharks. Solid win against the Kings, also a come-from-behind victory. Took care of business against Anaheim like you expect them to do. And then yesterday's win I thought was a solid one as well. So, yes, I think I would give them the benefit of the doubt in that regard.
If they lose one this month,
nipping those in the bud.
If they lose this month, which there's a chance you eventually just stumble at some point.
Yeah,
you look at the schedule; it's they should be able to come out. This isn't. We thought the beginning of the season was softer for the Oilers. This is a nice little stretch for the Oilers to get to what is going to be a difficult second last part or at end of the season, because now they'll get into the back-to-backs. They still have only had the one back-to-back. No, now two. Now two. Yeah. They'll still not have back-to-backs again in February, but then there's they'll have quite a few back-to-backs the rest of the season. And they'll have a little bit of tougher competitions that they'll have to play. But this month, they'll need to rack up those points. That's why I feel like if they're going to be a Pacific Division team, this month is going to tell us, because they go rattle off how many games are left, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 games. They go 8-2. Yeah, I think there's a good chance that they can get in that Pacific Division.
Right back in the mix, yeah. 2 back-to-back sets in February. You got 1, 2, 3 back-to-back sets in March.
I think 1 in April.
And then, April's the short month, regular season-wise. Yeah, they go actually 2 in April. Friday, Saturday, 5th and 6th. You're at home, then you're in Calgary, and then 3 back-to-back sets in April.
3 in April, 3 in March, 2 in Feb.
Yeah,
so that's 8. So that's actually that will lead to a question that I have. I'll finish what you thought, and then I have a question that came into the nasty chat with that
for the back-to-backs. So you get that 5th and 6th against the Avs at home on the Friday. Then you go to Calgary that night. Play the Flames the next day. You get 3 days between games. You get the Golden Knights on Wednesday, the 10th of April. Day off, back-to-back at home against Arizona and Vancouver on the Friday, Saturday. And then you get the Sunday for rest. You play Monday against the Sharks. You wrap up the season on the road, and you go Arizona, Colorado. That's a bit of a crappy one, because you lose an hour, and you go into Colorado at elevation. That kind of sucks.
Yeah, the time changes happen at that time.
Yeah.
Portion of this hour brought to you by Boston Pizza. Watch the Oilers at BP's. $5 off medium pizzas, $1 off tankers of Canadian Coors Light, $5.50 shots of Fireball, Jaeger, Burt Reynolds, Purple Rain, Honey Jack. Next opportunity to watch the Oilers at Boston Pizza will be this Saturday. K Gill 97 in the nasty chat going, Tom, do you think the Oilers will search for a backup goalie now and not a starter? What is their number one concern? I believe our number one need is a third line center. When?
Literally, Carmen asked the same question on the post game yesterday.
Oh, really?
I thought we answered that, Carmen.
Oh, maybe he didn't hear what you had to say. Maybe he wasn't listening at the
yeah,
time.
I can answer.
Oh no, that's I'm in, like.
I was like,
I
know
guess more,
this.
Do the Oilers? Where do you think they're at with goaltending?
In a much better place right now. Stuart Skinner is giving them solid net minding. Calvin Pickard has been very much adequate, and more so than better than adequate at times. They're in I think a much more comfortable place. Does it change the necessity to improve the goaltending? Probably not, but does it change the urgency to go and do something with goaltending? Yes. Right? Like, you're like, okay, you can exhale here. You got a couple of guys who are giving you a chance pretty much every night to win games. Are they perfect? No. Are they bona fide number one superstars in the league? Absolutely not. Skinner is working his way up. It's his second full year, but yeah, I think they're in a better spot. So to Carmen's question, KGill97, he asked it last night on the post game.
He says I was sort of drunk. LOL, by the way.
I hope you were drinking 6 o'clock or lagers, Carmen. I'm kidding.
But no, seriously, go buy some 6 o'clock or lagers.
That second tank is almost done, I think. I think they'll probably still scour the goalie market, and they should, right? Just see what's out there, see what you can get. Gager and I talked about it a bit on the Nielsen show, and even a bit on post game too. It's like, hey, now Toronto's talking about bringing in Jake Allen, and when I hear Jake Allen as the best option as a potential goalie to go pluck from somewhere else, I'm like, really? That's terrible. I don't see it with Jake Allen. I just don't. That's my bias, and I know people look at the numbers, and yes, he's won a Stanley Cup. He was the backup in St. Louis the year that they climbed their way out of last place in the league. But yeah, I think it takes away the urgency, but the necessity, I think, probably still exists. That's how I would answer that. And what are the Oilers doing in regard to that? Keeping tabs on everything like they always do until something breaks.
Is that the number one priority still?
Is it the number one priority?
Or do you think because of how the play is Skinner and even Pickard, they now look more at that third line center or somewhere else and go, okay, maybe if I'm Ken Holland, I'm going to go do this instead a little bit, and I don't have to rush necessarily for the goalie because of how well they're playing.
It's kind of like whack-a-mole, right? Like now you moved who was supposed to be your third line center, Ryan McLeod, to wing, and he's taking off. That's fantastic. To me, as long as he keeps providing offense the way he has and plays well, helps tilt the ice, you leave him there. But I feel like the plan is still for him to be a centerman at some point. And the way Chris Knobloch was discussing Ryan McLeod's play of late in the pregame availability led me to believe, if you're kind of reading between the lines, that he was pumping him up for the way he's played overall. Listen, I know some of it was trying to make his player feel good, but some of it, too, I genuinely think he means when he's saying, I like the way he's playing. He's doing these things right, responsible, this, that. I like his 200-foot game. I'm paraphrasing, but when a coach says that to me doesn't indicate he wants to necessarily just keep him on the wing for the rest of the year. I think eventually they probably want to get him over back to center. Is that the best option? Maybe not, but again, going back to calling it whack-a-mole, you're probably looking for a third-line center. Yes, a Nick Bjugstad type would be phenomenal. Will it be Nick Bjugstad? No.
Because of how well Arizona's doing?
How well Arizona's doing, they're in the mix. Bjugstad committing to them for a couple of years, them rewarding him, bringing him back, giving him extra money, more than double what he was making last year. I know they took a flyer on him, and he converted and bet on himself. That's fantastic. He was a good Oiler during his time. But if you could find someone, veteran guy, face-off guy, preferably a little bit rugged, responsible defensively, maybe you could pop one loose. I know Boone Jenner's name has popped up.
Brandon from Windsor literally saying Boone Jenner centering Kane and Holloway.
That would be a big line with skill and speed. I like that line, and hopefully Kane's healthy by then. Sean Bell has been talking about Boone Jenner since like June. And he's like, Tom, what do you think about Boone Jenner here? How do you get Boone Jenner here? I'm like, Bellsy, I love it. He's their captain in Columbus. It's a crap team, obviously, but you'd have to convince him to come out here. You have to find the cap space. Other than that, I think he'd be phenomenal.
The first part I don't think would be that hard now. It would have a month ago.
Yeah.
But now with where the Oilers are back, it should be easier to convince some guys to come to Edmonton because now you're back to seeing this team can go win.
And if you're in the mess that is Columbus right now, I think that makes it easier as well. So I like that. I don't know how likely it is. I haven't said to anybody with the Oilers like, hey, Boone Jenner. I haven't had that conversation, but I like the idea of it. It's tantalizing. I think it fits. And if you can make the money work, I think it would be great. But where is the need? I also look at the defense right now, Matty. They have 6 defensemen on the roster. And when the time comes to get another guy on the roster, whether it's calling up Ben Gleason or looking at Broberg again, whatever way they decide to go, I look at that 7th defenseman and I'm like, what if you do get into the playoffs and one guy goes down? Can you trust Philip Broberg? Can you trust Ben Gleason in the playoffs? I don't know.
I want to give credit to the right person in the nasty chat. Found it. It is Jenna Tills. I'd like to see how Broberg gets with Coffey before I look for a different D-man. And that came a little bit earlier in the show. That's, I think, with what we've seen from this defense since Paul Coffey has arrived as the assistant coach and proving everyone wrong in him being an assistant coach. I don't think anyone called this. I don't think anyone in hindsight could sit there and say, I knew he was going to be this great with this defense.
I think he set the bar strategically low.
And maybe that's what's happening here. Maybe. When you have him come out and say, I don't even want to coach.
I don't want to do this.
But with what's happening and how well, like all around. Like Matthias Ekholm say got healthy a bit.
Sure.
But, you know, Darnell Nurse is playing well. Evan Bouchard, everyone's playing well. I think it's fair to say, what could he now maybe do with Philip Broberg? And is there a situation here where the Oilers maybe try to bring him up for a little bit to see if Paul Coffey can do this? Or is, part of this, what did Paul Coffey say this season, I guess, to the defense? If you can't play, we'll find someone else.
Someone else, right?
Is that part of the reason why Broberg's down?
Well, it could be. And I think that the trade request or whatever it was, the thing his agent said, which caught Ken Holland off guard. And I was told that Broberg was surprised by it too. How much I believe that, I don't know, because I think that the agent would say, hey, listen, I'm thinking about doing this to shake and ruffle some feathers, shake things up. But I heard Ken Holland was caught off guard by it and didn't really appreciate it.
If Broberg didn't know that, it comes from the Alan Walsh playbook. We've seen that with Marc-Andre Fleury, and I think he was the agent of, who's the guy from Tampa? Drouin.
Yeah, Jonathan Drouin as well.
A little bit there.
Could they give Broberg a look? Should they give him one? Yeah, sure. What Paul Coffey has done, listening to guys talking to some of the defensemen, is just, like you mentioned, hey, if you don't want to do it, we'll find someone else. And then on top of that, like, he's not going to kill these guys with X's and O's. I think he's more of listen, you know your job. Do you know what you did wrong there? Yeah. Do you know what the right play is? Yeah. Okay, next time go do it. Or, hey, did you see that ice? Yeah. Why didn't you take it? Take it. I think he's kind of enabled them or helped their mindset shift. And maybe if he gets another chance to work with Broberg, he might be able to help Broberg turn that light switch on in his mind and say, well, why am I a good prospect? I skate well. I'm big. I can make up for my mistakes with my speed. And, oh, by the way, I'm getting older and more experienced at the pro level. I should know, just through natural growth and progression, to be a little bit better. Maybe that could happen. How likely do I think it is? I would give Broberg the benefit of the doubt. Also, how is Broberg's attitude and how open is he to accept that coaching, to embrace the challenge, and to also feel comfortable with this group after, what happened with the agent and what came to light in the public platform. So there's a lot of things at play there. Could we see it? Yeah, I guess so. And if Paul Coffey goes out of his way to work with him and helps him shift that mindset like he did with the whole defensive core, maybe they could coax it out of Philip Broberg. And the guy's got the tools. Just hasn't put it together at the NHL level yet. He can be a good AHL defenseman, but we're waiting for him to go and do it at this level. And yes, the organization has kind of stumbled with him, but I don't think Broberg's taken a lot of those opportunities he's been given and flourished. I thought he was mediocre at best in the preseason. I didn't think he was good. I didn't think he won a spot. Not a lot of people do. Some people anointed him, but I watched him in the preseason and I was like, oh, that wasn't good. That wasn't good. I'm not seeing it with Broberg. What are you seeing? And talk to Cass, talk to Belsey, and they're like, I wouldn't be starting him.
And he's not in a position where in preseason he could, like Ryan Nugent-Hopkins could have a bad preseason because who cares?
Yeah.
Right? Like he's earned it.
For 13 years.
Absolutely. You know that there's going to be guys and whatever. Who cares? There's complaints of Draisaitl taking bad preseason penalties or something this year. Is this going to be like, no one cares. It's preseason for those.
Philip
Broberg's not that guy.
No,
he wasn't
the
guy at that time. And if you can't do it in preseason, you're not going to be able to do it in the regular season. It doesn't get easier when you get into the regular season compared to preseason. This is the Oil Stream. Matt Iwanyk, Tom Gazzola with you here. Portions of this hour brought to you by One Putt Virtual Golf. Their Winter League registration closes this Friday. $350 gets you 8 hours of golf that you can base on your schedule and includes your league fee. The league goes until February 18th. So the registration closes this Friday, but you get to play up until February 18th to get your $350 in. They use point system, so earn points weekly based on how you play after handicap rounds, and you could also win weekly prizes, which includes closest to the pin and longest drive. Prizes for hole-in-one, albatross, only in league play. oneputt.ca/league for more information. Next year, I'll jump in next year on that one. Can't do it this year,
tough,
but I'll do it next year.
Yeah.
I will gladly come to One Putt once I could start golfing again to golf. But I can't do it right now, but you should. It's just that simple. And hell, invite me. I'll go play with their video games, and I'll watch you golf to whoever's out there. Trackman technology out there. So even too, Tom, if you get out there, just I'll come by. I'll come by.
Have some
I'll
beers.
come watch. I'll have some bevies,
Maybe
and I'll play
snacks.
some video games. Well, I'll try to play video games. Again,
that would be tough. You could do like racing
depends.
games, right?
Yeah.
As long as you don't have to shift.
Yeah, but you always have to kind of shift. Yeah. I guess I can't play any video games even. I'll watch you play video games too. It's fun
Golden
being
Tee?
in a sling.
If they have one there.
Oh, yeah, I could do that.
Yeah.
I could do that
You
one.
can type left-handed.
It's not
spin
easy.
the
Like,
ball.
honestly, it is my whole preparation of getting ready for this. I didn't think I'd be annoyed by typing. But it is very...
And you're an email guy.
I'm a technologies guy type
Yeah.
thing. And
Lots of good emails. Thorough.
I don't... Yeah, so...
How?
It's,
Like,
it
can
is
you
what it is.
let it go? Like,
I can let it hang on the side.
Yeah, but you can't move it.
Oh, it's actually quite loose.
Yeah?
Like, I'm
Are you
told
feeling
not
this?
to lift it up.
Oh.
So I don't lift it up or anything. But it feels very, well, considering what I thought. Like, it's still stiff.
Yeah.
But,
Do you
if
do
I
the
took
little
this off right now, I could move it around a bit and stuff.
Do you do the
I
little
see I
extra?
could
They
do
give
that.
you the little paper with your
Yep.
post-surgery
I
exercise.
had those. I do those.
A little up and down.
No, I don't have that.
What do you get?
I have some, pendulum swing where I have to lean over and, hang my arm down and get it to spin.
Yeah,
type
that was
thing.
when I had knee surgery, there was the toe,
Oh,
heel
yeah?
toe, heel toe. And I'm like, what is this doing? And then you're like, oh, you know what? Actually kind of feels good.
And then I have to lift the arm up to 30, lie down and then lift it up to a 30-degree angle. I can't go higher than 30 degrees.
You got this, pal.
I got to call the surgeon after the show to book my follow-up appointment. So
Those are important.
that's it's going to be a while. But I will
It'll
get
be
to
all right.
One Putt eventually. But you should get there this winter because I did it 1 year where I bought a pass. One Putt wasn't around at the time. I bought a pass to a virtual golf place. It was really mentally just living in Edmonton, going golfing every 2 weeks. It was good for the soul. I'll just say that, right? You don't even have to get into this league. Just go to One Putt every 2 or 3 weeks. Oh, it just feels good for the soul.
You have a delicious social sparkler. You have your clubs,
Yep.
a couple of buddies.
Yep. You could watch sport. They have the
TV
TVs
on.
there. You throw it on, you watch something.
And
It's lovely.
the one thing, oddly enough, that's tough to even gauge whatsoever is the putting.
Yes.
That's why you always just chip it in. Have the wide. I think we do the 8 foot.
You go 8. I think I
Yeah.
did 6 feet.
That's
8's smarter.
8 just takes away the unnecessary. Oh, it's your turn. Yeah. Because part of the wasted time is like the next guy going up.
Mm-hmm.
So he's 8 foot distance from the hole, and you're like, all right, it's a gimme. So
goals for me is to get one in my house. If I ever get a house, I want a golf simulator in my house. But till that happens, one putt is where to go.
Can I read one text out of the nasty chat?
780-218-9999, Paris Jewelers inbox.
From our dear friend and colleague Joaquin Gage says, I'm on my way to the park now. Little mouth-to-mouth, and Cass will be fine. That's a good teammate. I didn't know that's how you mend an illness, but Gager, you do you, pal.
Well, I have one concern about that, though.
Is there an HR violation in there somewhere?
Nah, who cares? HR Daddy can deal with that one. I don't want Cass to give Gager whatever he has.
I thought Gager had it already.
But that's my concern is then is he going to get it again?
I hope not.
We don't need this to just be between the two of them. Gager gets it, he's down for a bit, then Cass gets it, and then it goes to Gager, and we just go back and forth.
Stay away from Belsey.
So I don't know if I want exactly. We need at least one of our NHLers.
One of our NHLers, yeah.
I just the mouth to mouth part is just like his heart's in a good place, but I worry he's gonna now get and we're gonna suffer.
I'm surprised he went straight to the mouth, but all right.
How was it doing the show last 2 days with Gager?
Really good. You could throw anything at Gager, and he can handle it just fine. He picks his spots when to jump in with guests. Great questions as always. Very inquisitive. It was just getting like the formatting down. Like it was a late tap. Basically, you gave me like a good day's heads up. Well, yeah, about what?
Well, less than 24 hours.
Yeah, but still.
But each day about 1 o'clock. For 2 days ago, I told you like 11 or something. I think yesterday was like 1.
Yeah. So the other day I was like painting my condo, and I'm like, all right, yeah, I'll be in for the morning show. I'm not going out. I'm not doing anything silly anyway. I'll probably be in bed early. But it was the format and not having and. Trev and I were talking about this. We need the goal songs. We want the conch.
We don't got those.
No, that's an issue.
Yeah. No, trust me, I know.
The boys take their toys and they go home with them.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
It's when we have our first staff meeting in 2024.
Oh, this is one that you've been thinking about too.
Oh, this is it's going to be like we need to have like everything like on paper for us to have access to, like even digitally. And we need access to all the files.
I had
all the files.
Here's 10 pages of reads from sponsors. They were like expired by December.
Yeah.
So Dusty sent me an email in mid-December, and he's like, "Here's the sponsor reads for when you fill in for me." And I'm like, "December, okay, can't read that one. December, okay, can't read that one. December, can't read." And I would be, "Trev, what sponsor is on this segment?" Okay, yep. Oh, November, can't read that one.
Yeah, no, your description of they take their ball and go home, it's very accurate. And I should have realized this better because that was a little bit of an issue at 1260. Yes. That things would happen and I'd realize, oh yeah, all of a sudden we don't have a lot of these things. Oh boy. And they don't leave everything properly.
No.
It's like, honestly, the day before they were leaving, that Wednesday, they sat down finally to like, we were like, hey, we need to know what's scheduled for the Thursday before Christmas. It was who's on, what this, and they sat down with you as you wrote things down. But it's like that should have been an email, a couple days ago. So no, that's.
Otherwise, the AM Nasty has been great. It's the bye week, as Gager put it.
Yeah, well, it was fun. I was listening yesterday, driving in to 3 questions too many.
You could tell.
And kind of easy trivia, and it was just, do we have a ticker, Trev? No, okay. Do we have the goals? And I want Trev won't even have it because that's the part. Dusty does it all.
I know.
Trev doesn't even do it. I don't even do it. None of us do it. So even Trev won't even have access to it. So, but yeah, I was just like, do we have this? No. Yeah. Okay.
The way he looked at me with like sad puppy dog eyes, and he's like, no.
Yeah.
I'm like, what do we have? He goes, I found a song with no copyrights on it, and I think it's got a nice bass groove to it. And I was like, we'll use that. Today it was our win song for Kind of Easy Trivia. Shout out to Scuba Steve for winning today.
Anyway. Jay Milne, EST and Glue Guy, he's got the morning show. Yes. He's part of the morning show tomorrow and Friday, which I think you're in.
Yep.
I've told you for tomorrow. But
I hope
unless
Eric,
things change, I think that you'll be in for those.
I hope Eric gets better by tomorrow. If he doesn't, I'm ready to go for the rest of the week on the morning show. Sleep be damned.
Well, at least there's no Oilers in the next few nights.
No,
right? Like
that's a good thing. Like, I felt I was going to be missing out on practice today.
Yeah.
In the press box, the talk was, hey, there might be a noon practice tomorrow.
And it was players off.
Players off today. So I'm
they'll be on the ice tomorrow, probably.
Yeah. Probably around noon. So, I'm doing 2 guys in goalie, so I won't be there till Saturday. But that's fine. It's okay.
It's an interesting schedule for the Oilers. For anyone that's just wanting to remember when the Oilers play, outside of tomorrow, they play every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday this month.
Yeah.
Straight up. Yeah. They don't miss any of those days except for tomorrow, Thursday. But they only play Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. So if somebody says, hey, what are you doing Monday? You could go, well, the Oilers don't play. I'm open. What do you want to do? And you could go, I'm watching Michigan, Washington. Come watch it with me. Big national championship game Monday.
Yeah, it's going to be huge.
Did you watch any of the
I watched the Sugar Bowl,
Sugar Bowl?
Like start to finish. And I was like, what is Washington? In the last 2 minutes, I'm like, uh-oh. Like the one line, was it the lineman that went down? They had to burn a timeout.
Yes, the running back.
The running back. Yeah, that's right. It was the running back, and he was having a good game. And that gave Texas time. But they first of all, they struggled on offense. Like some of their decision making and the execution, like they had receivers looking around and the ball was already gone behind them because they were looking the wrong way. I don't know what Steve Sarkisian was doing. Anyway, I thought there was a chance that we might see a sad Lucas Holt the next day, and they hung on. So.
Well, me and Glue Guy were texting with Lucas during that game.
How was he?
It was great. When Washington got the ball, Jay said congrats to Luke. And I was like, hey, congrats. And Luke's like, yeah, this is great. Like, weak because he thought it was over.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it was, oh, boy. Uh-oh. And then it was silent from Luke for a while. Like, we didn't get a single message. Wow. And then no one responded, like, said anything else either. But he went complete silence at that point.
He had a puckered sphincter at that point.
Just to that game, when Texas got to end goal, the first play they had, which was just attempt a swing pass to their running back, was one of the dumbest play calls I think you could have ever called him. Because if he catches it, nothing's happening. You're just the clock's gonna basically run out on you. It was just awful, and the fact that they didn't throw it to like middle, it was a middle of the end zone. It was just poorly end. But both those games coming down to the final play, both those games final play within the 10-yard line, and Bob Stauffer had to wear a Michigan toque yesterday from Zach Hyman.
I like and appreciate that.
Yeah, they showed that on the broadcast.
Stauf looked like he was in pain even during the game, probably from the experience of wearing a Michigan toque, because his beloved Alabama, who shouldn't have even been in there, lost. And that is the football gods taking it away.
Well, Zach Hyman, though, he's feeling good with his Wolverines, and they'll go and take on the Huskies. 4.5-point favorites. The Wolverines over the Huskies. That goes Monday. You could always bet that, along with the Edmonton Oilers, of course, over at CoolBet. When it comes to the Edmonton Oilers, there's EST exclusives, which have boosts. You only get those boosts with CoolBet. I'm sure there'll be one put up by Dusty. He did one yesterday. I'm sure Dusty will put one up for Saturday. But if you're looking to get in a little bit, Oilers, EST will have something for Saturday, but then also the national championship game, coolbet.com. I think I'll have to put something there. This is my one prediction. If it's over, Washington's winning that football game. If it's under, Michigan's winning that football game.
Boom.
That's the way I think it's going to play out.
I like it. You got the nice CoolBet. Those new caps are awesome, by the way.
Yeah,
great, great for the golf course. Great for one putt.
Well, this string that they've added, I didn't know if I liked it on
I don't like the string, but the way they did
these. Bets, it works.
Yeah, and it's kind of a lower profile cap. They did a really nice. I'll be wearing those, the black one and the white one, salt and pepper, baby. A couple of nasty chats I want to get to.
Sure.
The Wolf says, you guys, that new funky song is awesome. I love waking up an hour earlier than what I need to as long as I'm hearing that funky song from Tommy. Yes, the Wolf, that was a gem that YouTube Trev found somewhere. We'll bring it back. And then Blake says, I tried to watch the morning show, but that damn horn you guys use is so annoying. We found a different conch.
Is it the same one you guys used on the Before Christmas? Or
yeah. Where it ends kind of funny. Blake, that's just for the first hour of the show where we give out conches in the 6 o'clock hour. We don't do it after 7 o'clock. It's just basically a shout out conch. And yes, it is annoying, but We'll try to limit it tomorrow, but it's just to give out shout-outs. That's what its intentions are good.
If the horn's not for you, then it's just you're not a 6 o'clocker. You're not built to be a 6 o'clock. I'm not a 6 o'clocker.
You can still be an AM nasty.
You can still be an AM nasty, and you just start at 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
You don't hear it after 7 o'clock. From 7 o'clock until 6 a.m. the next day, there is no conch. 6 to 7, the conch comes out. And 6 o'clockers are built different. 6 o'clockers are better built than me. We'll say that right now. I'm not really a 6 o'clocker.
They are a formidable unit. That I've learned.
We got through the oil stream.
I went fast.
We got through another day of Edmonton sports talk here.
It's the bye week at EST. We're getting through it. It's just Maddie and I here.
Right now it is, yeah. So it's very quiet. I don't like how quiet it actually was.
The 1260 days at some points.
It's actually also quiet in this whole building. It feels like
it's the bye week.
I know it's so like. Did everyone take this week off as well, or did people not go back to work? Like I know schools aren't back this week.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's the good Christmas breaks because Christmas happens like on the weekend.
It's like in the
on Monday.
Yeah.
So you get Christmas right away, and then you get the 2 weeks off.
Yeah.
It stinks when Christmas is at the end of that first week, that you get that whole week off leading up to Christmas because everything's busy leading into Christmas.
Yes.
And then you only get a week off, it feels like. But here it feels like you get you get 2 weeks off after Christmas. So it's like a sweet spot for the school people. But like, is that what everyone's doing? No one went back to work?
Must be nice.
Would
We're
be
here
really
for
nice.
you.
We'll be back tomorrow, 6 a.m. The Nielsen Show without Dusty or Lieutenant Erica, Tom Gazzola, Jay Milne, YouTube Trev. I'll be back with the Hangout. But thanks to tuning in to everyone for the Oil Stream and if you listen to any part of today on Edmonton Sports Talk. Tommy, this was fun. Do you want to take us out?
Yes. Good to have you back with
Likewise.
the One Wing. Great to work with you as always. Be sure to like, share, subscribe. We're getting closer. I see it slowly inching up. We're going to creep up towards 7,000. I think maybe by the end of January we could get to 7,000 subscribers on YouTube. That would be fantastic. Smash that thumbs up button. Everyone who tuned in, whether it was on the TuneIn app or our audio stream straight up from the Edmonton Sports Talk website, thank you. And to those who watched us, we appreciate you as always. Until tomorrow, ciao for now.